you will own nothing and be happy or love it. I mean, depending on the person that says it. I've heard it said both ways. Shalom, Spawn Yeshua, welcome again to the rock. You know, when people have made that saying, or where when they said it, and people started repeating it, a lot of people said, well, that's impossible. They can't do that. And what they don't realize is that it's already being done. There are so many people who own nothing and love it. And part of that is because they've watered down the term or the idea of ownership. For instance, if you go and you get a mortgage for your home, 30 years, whatever. When you sign the paperwork and they hand you over those keys, they say, congratulations, you're a homeowner. No, you're not. Because you still got 30 years to make payments on that property. And at any point in time, you miss those payments, they come and take your house away. I'm not arguing with those people. Well, it's the same thing with taxes. I'm not arguing with that. Obviously, those people don't understand. So there's no point in me wasting my time arguing with those people that are going to try to make the point that taxes is, land taxes is the same thing. Because I know out here, I can afford my land taxes easily. You could go and do one day at work at I don't know, chicken plant and be able to afford your land taxes out here. So I'm not trying to hear that. But the point that I'm trying to make is that everybody, they've already moved us in that direction. For instance, when I was purchasing my propane tank for the property, there were two options. There was one option which was you buy it outright, which was a certain amount of money, and then the other option was you could they would put it on your property, but they own it, and they can come and get it at any time they want to. And you are required to buy, I think they said you have to buy over 200 gallons of propane a year to own or to have that deal where they will place on your property. They just want to make sure you're buying 200 gallons a year. And I went for the ownership option. I chose to buy the propane tank and own it so that I could go to any company I wanted to for propane, and I wasn't tied into, okay, I have to use this company. But I that's the way I went. But it was kind of interesting that that option of, hey, we'll put it on your property, and as long as you buy 200 gallons, you can keep it there, but you don't own it. Look at today's society. How many renters do we have? I was trying to look at the statistics, and I had a hard time looking up the renter statistics because the ownership statistics were skewed because they consider anybody that has a mortgage or has paid off their mortgage as a homeowner. So I couldn't find how many own it, but meaning they actually paid off their home. Couldn't find that statistic anywhere. Of course, I wasn't really searching that long. But likewise, cars, same thing. People do that with cars. You'll either lease your car or you'll finance your car for 6 years, damn well knowing you're probably not going to be paying, $800 a month for a 6-year loan. When you find out that for that $40,000 car, you're actually paying $70,000, $80,000, most people say, I ain't doing this. But obviously it's too late. You've been paying it for a couple years. So you're not going to own the vehicle. How about cell phones today? They have these deals where you can go and get your iPhone, and it's $1,300, $1,400, and you can just tack it onto your cell phone bill and pay an extra $20 a month. You see, they've already gotten us to the mindset where we don't really own it. See, because what their definition of ownership is and your definition of ownership are two different things. You think you own the house because you're in the house paying the mortgage on it. They understand that they actually own you because you are just borrowing the money. So the borrower is a servant to a lender. So they understand that they own you. They're their owners. You own nothing. And you're happy because you're showing off the house. Like, look at the house I just bought. Technically, you didn't buy it. Technically, you financed it. So it's not yours. It's not yours until you pay it off. You don't have, that deed, or you don't have, whatever it is, in your area. You don't have that to say that you own it. You're just going through the process of paying it off. And that's where they've gotten us. And we consider things as we own them. And there's so many other things, that you don't own. And that's really where we have found happiness in not owning anything. We have found happiness in owning absolutely nothing. We don't own the land our food's grown on. We don't own our vehicle. We don't own our house. We don't own... A lot of you men, let's just be real. That wife that you think is yours, she's not yours. For some of y'all who are part of these group camps and ministries, your wife belongs to the church. She don't belong to you. Try to tell her that you want to be part of that church no more and see what she decides to do. Does she go with you or does she stay with the church? So a lot of us are finding out that we are already in these situations of no ownership. We don't own anything. And we're happy. So what we don't get is that the games that we think we're playing and winning in, they've been playing this game and they've already had the plan orchestrated for years, for decades. You're just new to the game. So when they said you're going to own nothing and be happy, they've been doing this thing ever since credit and loans and all this stuff started to take place. They were already on that game. You were just late. Now they're just telling you what they've been doing for decades. And most people are so trapped in it that it's true. They're going to own absolutely nothing and be happy. They're going to own absolutely nothing and be absolutely happy. And then the sad fact about ownership is a lot of the things that we own, without them providing their side, we can have it, but it ain't worth nothing. Imagine this. You have a vehicle. You pay off your vehicle. Okay, great. Your vehicle's paid off. You still need gas. They own the gas. So technically, they still own us in a large majority of ways. Because I don't know any independent gas refineries or, people that independently, bring oil out of the ground and refine it so that we can use it. Look at most big agriculture. Most agriculture today is systemic. It's owned by them. And you go to they grow it, they put it into their stores, and then you go and buy it. It's owned by large corporations. It's owned by the system. The sad fact is that we spend so much time trying to be happy, even though we own nothing, instead of striving to own something. I'm not saying that there's a time for rentals. Let's say you're moving across the country. And you're looking for land. That may be a good time to rent a piece of property or rent a apartment or whatever it is, home. Rent a place near where you are looking for a property so you can find the property that you want. Understandable. If you're driving across country or driving 6-7 hours away, it's not a bad idea to rent a vehicle and put all that wear and tear on that vehicle instead of putting the wear and tear on your personal vehicle. That's smart. But the reality of it is most of us live a lifestyle of owning nothing. Sad fact is most parents, your children aren't even yours. You send your child to the public school system, they're teaching the child, they run the child, everything. They can, in some places they were vaccinating children without parents' permission. They were, all these things that they were doing to these children without your permission. Children were getting on birth control, they were distributing condoms, they were all these different things they were doing to the children without the parents' permission. So who really owned the children? Who really owned them? At any time somebody says, let's get away, as Malcolm X says, let's separate. You say, from this land, from this system, why would I want to do that for? You've lost your mind to think that I would want to separate myself. And when I separate, I mean be holy. Live a set-apart life, a quiet life. Most people can't fathom that because Egypt has become their covering. They have become the covering. And they realize that they've got you in that trap where you're going to own absolutely nothing and be happy. Look at your life and ask yourself, what do you really own? And what we'll find out is a lot of the big things that, the things that we need, food, covering, that's home, vehicle, a lot of those things, even our cell phones, a lot of those things, we don't own them. We're still financed. We're still paying them off. But we've been given this illusion that we own it. And if you want to know what ownership looks like, look at the people that own these companies. Look at them. They own it. And as the more you sell yourself out, the more you get into astronomical amounts of debt. The borrower becomes a servant to the lender. That's in the Bible for those of you that don't read it. What you're finding out is you are in the process of actually being owned. Therefore, you will own nothing and be happy. And they can tell you that. And they mean it. Because literally, they own you. Something to think about. Bless y'all. Praise y'all for the rain. It rained and 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 rained. My soil is so ready for me to continue planting in it. So that's what I'm going to do. Shalom.